And good evening and welcome to another episode of the Vegan Hour. Tonight it is episode 12 on Tuesday, May the 29th. I'm your host, Harry Bolman, and tonight I'm joined by Amanda Benham from the Human Herbivore.
Hello.
Welcome aboard, Amanda.
Thank you for having me, Harry.
Now let's just get some events out of the road. Let me also mention that the Vegan Hour is sponsored by Vegan Frothers. You can see them there in the background. So get your froth on with Vegan Frothers, get your cruelty-free clothing from them, and you'll be supporting the animal rescue organisations by doing that as well. So tomorrow night, the events I'm going to mention tonight are for tomorrow night and for Thursday night. So tomorrow night we have a screening of the environmental film Albatross at Mandela's at 6:30 p.m. So get along there and see Albatross. And also tomorrow, Elixir Bar. All three venues have a Pay What You Feel event. So that's at Sunshine Coast, Byron Bay, and here on the Gold Coast. From 12 o'clock to 8 p.m. you can pay what you feel. So you need to book for that one. And also Thursday, May the 31st, there is a raw treats class from 6 p.m. at Charlie's Rawsome in Gaythorne in Brisbane. So I can see lots of people coming online. So that's awesome. So tonight I'm very, very excited to have Amanda here because Amanda not only has been vegan almost as long as me, 35 years, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Does it feel like it? No, don't answer that one. No. Not only has she been vegan almost as long as me, but she has a lot of qualifications when it comes to nutrition and dietitian type information.
Yeah,
all that stuff. Yeah. I'm trying to make it sound like I know what I'm talking about. So Amanda's going to be giving us her words of wisdom. You can ask her any health-related questions. And hello, Danny. And so, what I want to find out first off is, and hello, Eliska, what your qualifications are. That's what I want to find out first. Oh. Who is Amanda Benham?
Oh, okay. So, the first thing I studied when I left school was veterinary science.
Veterinary science, okay.
Yeah, I wanted to be a vet, so I didn't finish that because for reasons which we may get onto later. Mm-hmm. But after I did that, I ended up with a science degree. So I went to another uni to do some more science studies. That was in physiology and biochemistry. And then I travelled around a bit, and during that time I did an arts degree, which was mainly in Asian and women's literature.
Wow, you were loving the degrees.
Yep. Used to be free back then, so you didn't get a big debt at the end of it.
It used to be free, and also you didn't have the kids to worry about at that stage.
But then after I became vegan, I thought I'd better learn a bit more about this stuff because people start asking, how come you're alive? Where do you get your protein?
Yes, all that stuff.
So I first, when Kamina was a baby, maybe I was pregnant at the time. That's my daughter, as you know.
Yes, Kamina is a lifelong vegan who was on the show a month ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So then I enrolled through Deakin University, an off-campus course, a graduate diploma in human nutrition. Okay. And I really liked that. So then I decided maybe I should become a dietitian because then that was more formal qualifications, or sort of better qualifications. So I went to QUT when Kamina was 2, my son was 3 months old. I started studying there full-time. I did a graduate diploma in nutrition and dietetics, which qualified me to be a dietitian. Okay. And then I went on and did my master's in health science and nutrition and dietetics. And that's when I did a thesis on planning and health aspects of vegan and vegetarian diets. You kind of had to do vegetarian as well then because there wasn't enough known about vegan to even really have enough to study. Yeah. And since then I've studied a few random things, journalism and business management, stuff like that, and philosophy. And my most recent thing is doing a PhD at QUT, and that's in the area of nutrition as well.
Fantastic. That's a lot of study.
Yeah, well, I think that, education is really important. It's one thing that adds value to yourself as a person, to what you can do and contribute to the world that no one can really take away from you. I think it's a really great believer in education. And with the field of nutrition, it's always ongoing because we've learned so much in the past 25 years since I first graduated as a dietitian. You know, so it's always continuing professional development. So I've done courses in the last year in paediatric nutrition, eating disorders, food allergies, cardiovascular health. So it's like constant learning. So it's not just my formal studies. Actually, last year I'd forgotten, I did a couple of units in evidence-based complementary medicine. So that was really interesting too. So when I finish my PhD, I'll probably finish an honours degree in that, just for like
that is impressive.
So,
and all of that information that you've got, you are channeling into helping people through, for instance, the Human Herbivore.
Channeling as we speak.
Actually, the Human Herbivore Facebook page, I will post up there right now, and so that people can see that. Okay, now, so why did you go vegan in the first place?
Look, I went vegan overnight, but it took about 20 years.
It took 20 years to do the overnight change.
Yeah, I think everyone else it really did. Yeah. So I'm going to give you the long story because we've got a long time. As you know, I was worried about how we'd fill this. So when I was 3 years old, I was lucky. My grandmother had taught me to read, and I can remember quite clearly. I was reading an alphabet book, and it started off, you know, A is for antelope, B is for bear or something, right? It's all animals, so I loved it. It's photos of animals. And then it said, L is for lamb, so cuddly and cute.
Right.
I'm not sure what M was, but it must have rhymed somehow. Anyway, so I remember that day, and then my mother said, we've got roast lamb for dinner.
You were 3.
Yeah, I can remember this. This is my second memory. My first memory is my 3rd birthday, and this was shortly after that, right?
Wow.
So I remember sort of my little brain went, what?
We just read about cuddly, cute lambs. So I was actually, remember, I was really upset, and I was crying, and I said, no, that's not right. That's not true. And then I said, no, I'm not going to eat that, you know. And my mum said, well, no, you have to, or you'll die. Oh, you'll have to, or you'll die. Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I grew up with that belief. You know? And I think my mother probably did believe it. Yeah. She was a great lover of the protein, my mother.
And firmly indoctrinated by the sound.
She was too, And she was a good 1950s housewife.
Oh, yes.
So anyway, when I went to study, when I went to vet school, right, part of what we had to do was go to abattoirs and factory farms. And because a lot of vets end up working in those situations, you know. And of course it was very, very traumatic and horrendous, witnessing the animals, the treatment and the slaughter and everything. And I remember absolutely being, bawling my eyes out. And, but they said to us afterwards, they'd noticed that some of us got a little bit teary. And they said, look, there's no point being sentimental about animals. Humans have to eat animals. We have to do this. And with the population we've got, there has to be these factory farms. That's the only way, right?
Oh, my goodness.
So once again, I was told I would have to do this, right? But because of what they personally wanted me to do as a vet student to animals, a lot of killing and stuff like that. I couldn't continue. I really wasn't emotionally strong enough, they said, right? I was an emotional weakling and just couldn't do it. Decided I'm not going to do it, can't do it, won't do it. Right? So I left, right? And then it wasn't until a few years later, I was actually working as an air traffic controller in Sydney, strangely enough. So I was kind of lost, right, obviously.
A bit lost. Hopefully the planes weren't.
Well, you know, luckily I sort of
them in there.
Left, you know, didn't stay in that job too long. Was really bad at it. But I was listening to the radio one day and they're talking about testing cosmetics on animals, right? And I knew, and you know, in their eyes and forcing them until half of them died. That's called the LD50 test. So you can do it on things that aren't even very toxic.
So they force feed the animals until half of them die.
They increase the dose until half of them have died from that dose, and they call that the LD50.
Are you listening to this, folks?
And the other thing they do is called the Dray's test, where they use animals.
I've heard of the Dray's test.
Eyes open, or they don't have eyelids, and they put the chemical, whatever, shampoo or whatever, into their eyes, and you'll see it, they get ulcerated, and it's really horrendous. So I had kind of experienced some of that when I was at uni, and I had actually had post-traumatic stress disorder from all the stuff that I'd seen and done at uni.
Yes, as any sensible person probably would.
So I hopped on my bicycle with someone from Animal Liberation in Sydney at the time, went round to their office singly, and said, I want to help, I want that list, because back then we didn't have internet or anything, of course. So they said you could come there and pick up a list of toiletries and cosmetics that weren't tested on animals. Right. So I said, I'd like that list, and I was like, oh, I'll give you some money, I want to give you some money, you know. Because I had heaps of money back then. And
those were the days, weren't they?
Money but no sense, you know. And this woman got engaged me in conversation, and she said to me, oh, you were vegan, and I was like, what? No.
You hadn't heard of it?
No, that word wasn't even in the dictionary.
No, that's right. Yes.
And I said, no, what's that? And she explained it, and I remember sort of looking her up and down to see if she looked alive and healthy and everything. Because remember, I'd been totally brainwashed to believe that it was just not possible. So don't even think about it. You know? Anyway, after she sort of explained what she was, and I sort of said, well, can you do that? And she said, yes. I said, well, I am now. Right?
Really?
Yeah. So I'd eaten meat that day.
Yes.
And from then on, I didn't eat any other animal products.
Wow.
And I think, as I said, it was overnight, but it did take the 20 years, because that was when I was 23. And it had been when I was 3 that if I'd been given the opportunity, I would have, you know, stopped eating animals. If I'd learned more about it, I would become a vegan. But of course, the word wasn't even in the dictionary until the early 90s. And you probably remember, you try and explain what you were, and because there's no internet or anything, nobody could Google it. And I think they probably looked in the dictionary afterwards and said, there's no such word, they just made that up.
See, so you went vegan in 83, right? I went vegan in 1980. I didn't know I'd gone vegan either.
Oh, I knew I'd gone vegan.
Well, I didn't know I'd gone vegan. I'd just gone on to... I'd gone on to the mucusless diet, which happened to be raw vegan.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But, you know, that connection with the word vegan, I don't think I knew initially.
Yeah, okay, that's funny, yeah.
So
that's it. Yeah,
that's amazing.
So I've never looked back, being very happy doing that, and no regrets, and I'm still alive.
Yes. So there you go. You're actually, folks, you're looking at a combined total of vegan years of what, 38 and 35.
That's 70, like that's 73.
70, was it 73? Yeah, 73 years vegan combined total. This is the first time you've ever seen this much veganism on camera on the Vegan Hour. Does this just blow you away?
We're gonna put them off, Harry.
We're just gonna blow the internet. We are. Okay, so in those early stages, you thought, okay, I better do these nutrition and studies and dietitian studies in there so that I know my shit. Yeah. Oh, look, Harry swore.
Ah. I did first.
Deliberately, I mentioned that because we were chatting before the live stream whether we could swear or not.
Yeah. So, look, I'm a great believer in justice. And that is why I went vegan, because I hate injustice, right? But I'm also a great believer in the truth. Okay.
Excellent.
So when
hang on a second, are you Liberal?
No, I'm better.
Well, you should be, because they're the two central tenets of the Liberal personality.
Oh, okay. I don't know anything about that stuff.
Okay.
So basically, I wanted to be sure that what I was saying was actually true and not just something I'd read in a vegan leaflet or a vegan magazine.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because I was already a scientist, already studied scientist, I kind of, you know, and to this day, I don't like it the way some vegans go vegan, just cut out animal products and all your problems will be solved. Right? Because I think that's actually really irresponsible. So I didn't want to be irresponsible. I didn't want to be saying to people, yeah, just go vegan. When I used to do, you know, I made a shirt that said, are your meals murdered, stolen or vegan?
Are your meals murdered, stolen or vegan?
Yeah, I had a bit of a punk haircut back then. I thought it was pretty tough actually. Anyway, I wanted to be sure I was giving correct information, because, and to this day it's really important to me that vegans be healthy, because if they're not, you know, if that woman, whose name was Lynn, the first vegan I ever met, if she had kind of looked a bit, you know,
yeah.
unhealthy, I wouldn't have gone vegan.
Right. Yes.
So,
okay.
and I still think to this day, whether we like it or not, as vegans, very often people are thinking, you know, looking at you or me and thinking, oh, I'm not sure if I want to do that. Well, no, hopefully they're thinking, oh, yeah, you know, they're still alive.
Hopefully they're inspired, not turned away.
So, you know, so I really want vegans to be healthy. I really want their kids to be healthy.
Yeah.
And so that they can, and also I want them to be informed about vegan nutrition and stuff so that they can help other people to go vegan.
And talking about their kids being healthy, you've got 2 kids. Kamina, who we mentioned earlier, is 30 now, and you've got a son.
Yeah, Toby.
He's 27.
Yep, he'll be
both vegan from birth.
Yep.
And both healthy specimens, still breathing.
Yeah. Check this. Oh no, I spoke to Kamina today. And that was, you know, a challenging part of life, but I'm really glad that I did that.
Yeah.
There's no way that I wouldn't have brought them up vegan.
And a thought occurred to me then, you know, also you're talking about, you know, if we are healthy vegans ourselves, we inspire others because people just go, wow, you know, I want what she's having, you know, to quote the line out of When Harry Met Sally. But how do you feel about, because you and I have both seen the change in eating habits, and there's a lot now, unfortunately, not particularly healthy vegan food around. There's a lot of processed vegan food. There's a lot of vegan fast food. It's definitely not necessarily a good thing. What do you think?
That's a really tricky one because I totally understand why we've got vegan donuts and vegan cupcakes and everything else, right? Because people that want other people to go vegan, you know, are basically saying, look, you can still have what you want.
Yeah,
you know,
you don't have to give anything up.
Yeah. And you know, you can still eat what you want, but you're not going to harm animals. Isn't that great, right? So all these things are being produced. So I can kind of understand that. But on the other hand, unfortunately, we live in a society where nutrition is really misunderstood. People aren't well nourished. We've got 2/3 of the population of adults overweight or obese.
Yes.
We've got at least 50% with nutrient deficiencies that probably most of them don't even know about.
Wow.
We've got an epidemic of diabetes. Heart disease is a major killer. You know, all these things are diet-related and totally, you know, probably preventable.
Yes, I've heard heart disease is preventable.
In most cases, diabetes probably are as well.
Diabetes,
you know, that's type 2 diabetes. So, you know, we kind of got this amazing food, as in a lot of really good stuff, but we've also got all this not so good stuff. You know, my theory is that because we didn't evolve with all that added fat and sugar and salt, our taste buds really can't handle it, you know. And some foods are a little bit addictive and, you know, you have a bit. And what manufacturers are doing, of course, is they've got taste panels and everything set up, is they want to create food that you will overeat, right? So that you will keep having more and more and more. And so that the next day you'll be thinking, wow, that was good, I want to go back for some more of that. Right? And you know, people tend not to get addicted to broccoli, although I think I might be.
Broccoli addiction, there's a new one.
Wow. You know, but our taste buds can handle those plain whole plant foods, you know, and we don't get too carried away with them, generally speaking, you know. But once we try and make everything high in fat, and then the combination of fat with sugar or fat with salt is something that makes food very moreish. And of course manufacturers know that, and that's what we're surrounded by. So we live in what's called an obesogenic society, basically.
What's it called?
Obesogenic.
Obesogenic.
Yeah, we were talking about obese.
Obesogenic. Oh yeah, obesogenic.
Basically meaning that it's very easy to get overweight in our society now.
And also the body doesn't get the signals that it's full or something when you're eating certain foods with lots of salt and sugar in there.
So fibre is what really fills us up.
Fibre, right? Yes, okay.
And the thing about fibre is you can't. It's hard to overeat high fibre food. So the manufacturers take all the fibre out.
Right.
So when you're looking at, you know, all your baked goods and everything, they're using white flour generally. They're not using whole grain flour.
Whole grains,
so with the white stuff, the refined stuff, the white flour, white pasta and stuff, the outer part, the bran has been removed and just thrown away. And that's the bit that not only has most of the fibre, but a lot of the nutrients too. So we're not getting the nutrients that we need, but we're not getting the fibre that tells us we're full, because fibre attracts water inside us and fills us up.
So that's why we overeat.
And because we're getting so much fat, we've eaten too much before we know when to stop. As well. So we're getting too many calories in too quickly. Whereas higher fibre foods are like, you know, crunchier foods, sort of like, and without the added fat, we don't tend to overeat them.
No, you have to eat them slower. And you fill up, and then the body goes, right, I've had enough. So yes, very, very interesting. Harry's learning lots tonight.
Oh, good.
Now you've got to. I just want to refer to this because you brought this along. This is. I'm just going to mention this amazing chart. Let's put it on both cameras so the YouTube camera sees it as well, and my little head sticking up there. This is a guide to, what is it? Tell us about this. A guide to healthy plant-based eating, isn't it? This is something you put together. This is a new version of it. I've got the one from about 5 years ago on my fridge. This is a fridge magnet, guys. This is a big. You can see the back of it. It's actually a magnet, and can people get this from you through your?
No, not really. No.
Can they actually?
I can put it on the website. I used to sell them. I just got sick of going down the post office.
Oh yeah, okay. You used to sell them.
No, I can do.
Right. I find it really fantastic.
I give them to my clients.
You give them to your clients. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, after I did my master's degree, I did a lot of work on working out a plan. You know, not a pyramid, but sort of something along those lines of how much you need to eat of what foods to get all your essential nutrients like your iron and your B12, your calcium, whatever, all those things, right? And that took it actually a few years, and I published on that, right? But I've been interested in that ever since. We're talking about over 20 years I've been kind of working on this stuff, right? So this is actually probably 20 years away.
Wow.
Right? And I just want to make it as simple as possible, you know, because if you look at the Australian Dietary Guidelines, they've got the Australian Guide to Healthy Eating, and you've got to have, you know, depending on how old you are and what gender you are and all that, 5 serves of this and 4 serves of that. A serve of fruit is a cup, but a serve of vegetables is half a cup. Like, who's going to ever remember that? I could never remember it, right? So I thought, is there a way I could simplify this, but it still work? And this is how I came up with this. So I've divided the plant foods into 6 groups. And basically,
I want to put. Can we talk? I'll hold it up while you're talking about it. I don't know how well you guys can see this, but so it's divided into 6 groups.
That big circle in the middle. That's my circle of goodness. Some people call it.
Circle of goodness. There had to be one somewhere.
And by eating from each of those groups every day in approximately equal volumes. So let's say you ate about 2 cups from each group. So that would mean 2 cups of fresh fruit, 2 cups of green vegetables, 2 cups of other colourful vegetables, 2 cups of legumes or soy products like tofu or tempeh, 2 cups of whole grains. That's when they're cooked. You measure them, like brown oats, that sort of thing. And 2 cups of calcium-rich foods. Then you'd be well on your way to getting a good balanced plant-based diet. And by focusing on those foods rather than the foods over here. The foods I eat all the time. I see burgers in there and hot dogs and donuts and chips. That's kind of where, you know, people are getting led astray. And they need to sort of focus on the basics. But you can make all these basic foods taste really delicious by putting them together with different herbs and spices and things. You know what I'm saying?
Actually, this whole graph, is this on your Facebook page for people to look at, or is it on your website?
I'll put it on the website.
Put it on the website. We'll put it on the Human Herbivore website. That would be good.
But because I was updating it recently, I took it off, I think.
Okay.
So then it goes through some essential nutrients that people on a vegan diet need to probably be a little bit more aware of. You know, that's not to say that everyone shouldn't be aware of nutrients, but the reality is I want vegans to have a lot better knowledge about nutrition than the non-vegans, you know. So
that sounds fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's not that non-vegans never get any nutrient issues, but my target audience is people that are on a plant-based diet.
Yes. Yeah. So, what are some of the essential nutrients? Are we talking about this over here?
Yeah, they're on there. Yeah. So, I've developed a new way to help people remember. Okay. Which, as I said, this is a world first now. Okay. So this is an exclusive.
Exclusive on the Vegan Hour, a world first.
So it's B12 disco. Does that sound like fun?
You're still living in the past, aren't you? B12 disco, go on.
Yeah. So basically, hopefully everybody listening would know that it's really important that people on a plant-based diet get enough vitamin B12. Okay.
Yes, so, B12, yeah.
Ideally from supplementing. Some foods do have it added, like some soy milks and some meat analogues, but it is quite difficult to get enough B12 from those foods. You need to have at least 3 serves a day. And even then, I'm not really comfortable with recommending that anymore because I have seen a few people run into problems thinking they would be getting enough that way and they weren't. So I always recommend that you do supplement. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the B12. And I do recommend you use cyanocobalamin, which is the only form that's actually been found, apart from hydroxycobalamin, which is injections, to be stable in supplement form and to be able to reverse a deficiency if you have one.
Yes, now this is interesting. Can we just can we talk about this a little bit?
Yeah,
because we were talking about, just before we went live, I was talking to Amanda about my B12 issues where I'd had really low B12. And, there's a comment there from Erochka. Vegan diet should be healthy. I was always saying that, always. How nice to see like-minded person. There you go. I was telling Amanda my experience with having a low B12 reading of 180. And you were saying, "My God, how are you still alive?" No, you didn't say that.
That's true.
But you had the ambulance on ready to call. But anyway, and I was mentioning to her that I'd been taking the cyanocobalamin, isn't it? Yeah, and that had not helped. And then I said I'd gone to the methyl, and you said, "Well, what did you say?" You said that I probably had absorption issues.
Yeah. So I don't recommend methocobalamin because the current state of knowledge appears to be that methocobalamin alone isn't sufficient, as well as not being stable in supplement form, because there are 2 active forms of B12 the body uses, methocobalamin and adenosylcobalamin.
Adenosol.
Yeah, and from what we know at the moment, they're not actually interconvertible. So by supplementing with methyl, there's a danger that your B12 levels in your blood would look high, but you actually could be deficient in the other active form, which is called adenosylcobalamin. Okay. So there's a lot we still need to learn about B12. So I could tell you something different in a year's time. Okay, but from what we know now, it's an emerging area, and I've been doing a literature review on it recently. So I'm sort of reading a lot about it in the journals and that.
Okay.
So
what do you recommend then? So we need 2 types. We need the methyl and the what's the other
adenosol,
one?
Yeah.
Adenosol.
But they seem to be not particularly stable in supplement form. So cyanocobalamin and also hydroxycobalamin can be converted to both forms. That's been well proven. Okay.
Cyanocobalamin can be converted.
So that's why cyanocobalamin is the one that's the most research has been done on, and it's readily available in supplement form. It's cheap, and a lot of cynics say, well, the reason some people are promoting the methocobalamin is because it's more expensive and they can make more money out of it.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So hydroxycobalamin is the type that's used in the injections. Okay. Now, dietary deficiency is only one cause of vitamin B12, aka deficiency. So it could be, seeing as you were supplementing, that you have something else going on. Okay.
Right.
Now, I'm not going to do a consultation and ask you a lot of personal questions now.
Yeah. Oh, you should, because I'm great with personal questions, but especially live.
Certain medications and illicit drugs and all sorts of things like that.
Oh, no, you found out about my illicit drug use. Damn it.
Onto it. Yeah.
Damn it. And it was live too. Oh, bugger it.
That can interfere with vitamin
B12. I'll tell you what it is.
Yeah.
I sniff my armpits.
Oh, God.
That's what it is.
So it could be.
Well, it's definitely not illicit or illegal or any type of drugs.
Okay.
Seeing as I've never done any of that in my life.
So basically,
did you want some? No, sorry.
It might not be anything to do with you being a vegan. Okay.
Yes.
A lot of people, as they dare I say it, get
Older?
Older.
You're allowed to say the older word. Both of us are in our 50s.
Yes, I know, and I'm older than you. So.
Yes, and you're older than me. I wasn't going to say it live, but you are, yes.
Yeah. Our ability to absorb vitamin B12 tends to decrease as well, especially from food. So that there could be other issues going on.
Yeah.
So
when you say,
like
could it be your B12 absorption, could it be affected by emotional issues and things like that, for instance?
Look.
Not sure, or just no? Which one? Not sure? Like psychological issues or something.
Well,
like,
you've got a lot of those. Depending on how many you have. Well, it can actually be that low B12 can actually cause psychological issues such as depression, anxiety, and even psychosis, okay?
Yes, then that explains a lot.
It can also cause gut issues because the B12 is involved in DNA synthesis, and the gut has quite a rapid turnover of cells, and so it gets through a lot of DNA. So B12, low B12 can affect your gut, and that in turn can exacerbate the problem of the absorption.
Yeah, so you get that.
Yeah, but anything that affects your absorption, whether it's Crohn's disease or celiac disease, all these things, and as I said, some medications, some other diseases can affect B12 absorption.
I wonder why. I wonder what has caused it in the first place for me. It's strange, but.
Well, it could be that you didn't supplement.
Well, I didn't supplement for decades. I didn't know about B12.
So you probably. That explains a lot, Harry.
So that could be it.
Yes, it may have. Unfortunately, and this is quite a serious subject, and we're making light of it, but people can actually have permanent damage due to B12 deficiency.
Like all your hair can fall out, you can end up really short? I mean, vertically challenged?
I'm not sure about the short bit. Anyway, we're doing the disco. We've done B12. We're going to disco now.
Oh, hang on. Before we close off the B12 subject.
Yes.
So the advice you were giving me would be to get an injection.
For you, yes, but not just for one. It's probably going to be ongoing.
An ongoing thing, yes. To get the B12 levels up. I would
prefer to find out if there is some sort of sinister cause for this.
Okay, and so to find that out, you do a consultation.
Yeah. Ask a lot of personal questions.
You can do it on air if you wanted to. There is nothing. There is no sinister cause, but there would be a cause, but I don't know what it is.
I'm not going to ask you about your bowel habits and everything on air.
Why not?
No. Got those pictures? Does it look like?
I have no boundaries. Matt says, "G'day, Mr. Harry and Amanda. Love your work, Amanda. You're very knowledgeable in nutrition." She sure is, isn't she?
Thanks,
and I've been trying to get her on the Vegan Hour for so long. It's so great that she's here. I love it.
It's such a long drive. Anyway, back to the disco. We're back to the disco.
Back to the disco, okay.
So B12. So B12. D is for vitamin D, okay?
Yes.
So vitamin D, when I studied nutrition first off back in the 90s, early 90s, vitamin D wasn't considered something that would ever be a problem in Australia.
Really? Oh, because of our sun, right?
Because we loved the sun.
We were outdoors a lot. We weren't inside on computers all day and all that sort of thing. Yeah.
And but then the good old slip, stop, slap campaign.
Yes.
And we've now got probably a few generations, anyone younger than me, terrified of the sun. And now, of course, as well as that, our lifestyles have changed significantly in that children and adults too, of course, are spending a lot of screen time, whether it start off TV, now of course it's the computers and the iPads and everything else, indoors and not getting enough sun. Right? Yeah. So vitamin D deficiency is now becoming a bit of a concern in the Australian population. So it's not just a vegan issue. So people that are on I'm talking to vegans here, so on a vegan diet, but anyway, we need to get vitamin D from somewhere. Okay? So it doesn't really occur very widely at all in plant-based foods. It is added to a couple of soy milks, but only at quite a low level, so you can check the label for that. So the answers are you need to get out of the sun. Bare skin, like arms or legs, right? No sunscreen, right? We can't say exactly how long because it actually varies between individuals depending on their skin tone and everything. Like, for example, the darker your skin is naturally, the more time you need to spend in the sun.
The more time? Okay, yes. Okay.
So you kind of need to be getting a bit of colour over and above what you would have. So maybe if your whole body is the same colour all over, you're probably not getting enough sun. But if you've got a white bottom and the rest is, or whatever,
And I thought we weren't going to do personal questions.
I wasn't asking about your bottom, but no, I'm interested. Thanks, Harry. Anyway, so the point is that D, vitamin D. If we're not going to do that, and I know a lot of people are too scared to, that's fine. And it's really important for children as well, because vitamin D is really, really important in children and babies for bone development. Right? Because vitamin D is needed to take up calcium into the bones. Right. And children who don't get enough vitamin D will get something called rickets, where they get really weak, bendy bones, which is very not a good thing at all. We want to avoid that. So sunshine or supplement for vitamin D. Okay. And
sunshine or supplement. You
can buy vitamin D, vegan vitamin D supplements. Just have a Google.
Okay. What, in the health food store or whatever, if somebody wanted to?
They're probably a bit harder to find in Australia. Right. Probably buy them online. A bit easier.
Matt says I only need to be out in the sun for 5 minutes, and I'm as red as.
Okay.
5 minutes. Wow.
Yeah, so it's kind of tricky. You kind of need to gradually build up your exposure to sun, not just go out in the midday sun for an hour the first time. You know, that's what a light tan is. It's actually protection from the sun.
But that's right.
Trying to get a really dark tan or getting burnt is really obviously not recommended.
Yes, yeah. What would happen in that situation if you did get burnt? Does that mean you've still got the vitamin D is still being taken in, but your skin is over?
Well, then you're getting the negatives of too much sun.
You're getting the negatives of too much sun on the skin.
You want to get the benefit of enough sun, but not too much.
So vitamin D is the D in disco.
So we'll go on to the I now.
I would be iron.
Well, it's actually, there's two I's, so that's a bit tricky. It's disco. Okay, so we can.
You were good with spelling with all the study you did, were you?
Look, I lay awake in bed thinking how to put those letters together, you know. Anyway.
So the first I is?
Iodine.
Iodine.
Okay. Iodine. So iodine is an essential mineral. It's like a trace element. If anyone studied chemistry, they'd know that iodine is in the periodic table.
That's right.
Meaning that without some sort of nuclear reaction or something, it's not going to be created or destroyed. Okay. Right. So it comes from the earth. It gets in. It's taken up by plants as they grow, and then we as animals eat the plants, and that's how we can get iodine. Okay.
Right.
The sea is an abundant source of iodine. Now, what's happening in Australia, and has been happening for quite some time, and in quite a few other countries as well, is that in some areas where food is grown, the soil is low in iodine. Right. Sometimes it's naturally low, but what's also happening is that as that soil gets farmed over and over again, it gets depleted of essential nutrients, which aren't necessarily put back in. So iodine is one of those that we need to know about. Iodine deficiency causes thyroid problems, which we're seeing a bit of an epidemic of in Australia at the moment, I believe. And also in children, it's really important for brain development. So if a pregnant woman doesn't get enough iodine, it can cause permanent intellectual disability in a child. They can be born that way. In fact, iodine deficiency is the leading cause of intellectual disability in the world. And it's totally preventable, obviously, if you know. So that's why it's really important that pregnant women supplement with iodine.
Would it be a factor in autism, or not? They're not, or is it? No. Okay.
So basically, if you're not eating seafood, which obviously on a plant-based diet you might eat a little bit of seaweed, but not going to have a great deal, then you probably would be well advised to supplement with iodine. One way you can do that is use iodized salt. So that's when it says on the label, iodized. Pretty easy. About a quarter to a third of a teaspoon of that per day. So just on your meals or whatever. Don't add too much. Don't have a whole lot of processed foods, because they contain a lot of salt already that isn't iodized. So you're better off buying salt-free foods, but using that little bit of iodized salt to get your iodine. The other way you can get it is in multivitamin tablets, for example. Most of them, check the label, have about 100 to 150 micrograms of iodine. And
would that be enough for a daily dose?
Yeah, for someone who's not pregnant or lactating.
That's interesting. Wow.
So the other I, which you mentioned quite rightly, is iron. So look, it should, in a good plant-based diet, iron is abundant, all right? We get iron not just from one food, we get iron from legumes like lentils and chickpeas and all our beans, and tofu and tempeh, from whole grains, green vegetables, okay? So to absorb iron, it's good to have a source of vitamin C at the same time. So it's usually not that people on a plant-based diet aren't getting enough iron in their diet, although if they're eating all those junk foods, those foods are very poor sources of iron. It's often that they're not actually absorbing enough of that iron.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So having, say, some fresh fruit with breakfast, some fresh tomato or raw capsicum, something with lunch, or squeezing some lemon or lime juice over your food can really help iron absorption. In fact, the vitamin C can increase iron absorption by up to 6 times. So
wow.
Yeah.
So that's a good idea. What, spreading lemon juice or something, as you're saying, or lime. Lime.
Yeah. Just garnishing your food with chopped tomato or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Heating destroys vitamin C. So when you cook foods, especially if you're cooking for a long time, you're going to lose the vitamin C.
Right.
But when they're lightly cooked, there should still some vitamin C, like in a stir fry or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's one of the nutrients that doesn't do well with heat. Yeah.
Right.
So the vitamin C helps the iron absorb.
Up to 6 times better.
Yep. So I always recommend, especially for children, and I do a lot of work with kids now. That's kind of the area that I've kind of gone into recently, more so than anything, is to include an iron-rich food and a source of vitamin C at each meal. So that's that one. Yeah. And if your diet is low in iron, just be aware that there could be other issues. So I know people jump on Facebook and they get told eat molasses or eat dried apricots, and that's really not very helpful. Okay, so if you've been diagnosed with a nutrient deficiency, very often you'll have more than one. Yeah. But it won't be in a blood test because there's 40-something essential nutrients. People usually only get tested for two or three, right? So they come back from the doctor, oh, I'm so healthy, my blood tests are all good. Yes. But it's like, but the blood tests don't really, if you're looking at those.
So what would be, well, talking about blood tests, what would be a better test than
it's not that there's a better test, it's that for most nutrients, there isn't a reliable test. Even the test for vitamin B12 isn't particularly reliable.
So how do you know if you're...
Well, prevention is better than cure, okay?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with iron, there is a reliable blood test, right? If your hemoglobin's below a certain level, you're classified as anemic, right? Yeah. But I believe people should be proactive with their health and nutrition, not reactive, right? Yeah. So there's no point in just going to the doctor once a year and having a blood test and thinking, oh, I'm all right, and then 1 year, oh, dear, I'm not all right. I mean, really, I think why put yourself to that? Because a lot of deficiencies, by the time they're detectable, permanent damage has already been done. Okay, so that's just something to be aware of.
That's a worry.
Yeah. So better to not to sort of just be relying on blood tests, to actually sort out your eating, make sure you're getting your nutrients. Okay, so we've gone B12, D, I, so S must be next, right?
Oh, you're good at this.
Well, I thought as I'm getting older, my memory might go, and I really need to have a way of remembering this.
Your memory's still working.
Otherwise, clients will be walking out, and go, oh, I forgot to talk to you about selenium. Come back.
So S is selenium.
It is.
Okay.
You got it. Good. That's another trace element.
Okay.
And that's another one that is tends to be getting low in our soils in certain parts of Australia. Especially where our grains are grown, and grains were traditionally a pretty good source of selenium, but not so much now. Okay. Right. Yeah. So same sort of thing. The soil gets farmed over and over. If the minerals like the selenium aren't getting put back in, then the plants that grow aren't going to have much in there. Okay? Yeah. So you've probably, a lot of people would have heard, Brazil nuts, fantastic source of selenium. Now, just a point about, go back to iodine and the same with selenium, too much is bad for you. Okay. Okay. So people sometimes think, iodine, I'll eat lots of kelp, that's really high in iodine. Well, I've actually had some clients run into huge problems from having kelp. Kelp is not recommended at all for iodine. I should have said that before. Okay. And with selenium, yes, just because 1 or 2 Brazil nuts will give you your recommended daily intake of selenium, having 10 is not better. Having 10 is dangerous.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Okay. So with some nutrients, there's a fairly narrow range of what's optimal. And below that is suboptimal and could lead to deficiency eventually. Above that can actually be harmful.
Wow.
Yeah.
So 10 Brazil nuts can be harmful?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I won't tell you how many cashews I eat on a regular basis.
That's okay, And I'm talking about on a regular basis, not if you one day ate 10. You're not going to be rushed to hospital, don't worry.
Thank goodness for that.
So, Brazil nut or 2 per day. For most people, 1 is enough, but maybe 2 if you want. Other nuts have a bit of selenium, not as much. Once again, it is in multivitamins. And I kind of really think that in Australia, the way our food supply is going, I mean, the government's already adding a lot of nutrients to certain foods anyway, which, isn't for the vegan population medication that's designed for the non-vegan population, obviously, or the general population. That taking a multivitamin might not be a bad idea for a lot of people.
Okay.
Especially when I see how they eat, you know. It's just sort of so far removed. And even the food that looks really healthy, just take broccoli, for example. So when I first studied nutrition, we didn't have the internet, if you can imagine what that was like. And we had kind of like this A4 book, and it was nutrient quantity of Australian foods. And it had very small writing, and I wouldn't be able to read it now. And it had the food listed, and then all the different nutrients down in columns. So it had broccoli, how much iron, this is all per 100 grams, right?
Yeah.
And I was a bit of a smarty, so I tried to memorise that book, you know, didn't do very well at it. But, you know, when you try and memorise something, sometimes you still can, you know. You know, however many years later it is, 25 years or something. Yeah. And what I notice now, because now, of course, I use software to analyse people's diets, so I don't have this book that I get out, you know, that would be laborious, you know. The amount of nutrients like magnesium, calcium, iron, etc. in 100 grams of broccoli is a lot less than it used to be, right? So it looks the same, it tastes the same, right? But it's not as high in nutrients. So we're kind of eating this food that's sort of looks better than it is, maybe. You know what I mean?
And that actually, you've answered a question I was going to ask you earlier. I was going to ask, you know, how much that the changing in the way that we're farming the food. You know, how it's the soil is, as you were saying, the soil is depleted in nutrients, and just how much effect that has had, so that we think we're eating healthy foods now, and they've actually gone downhill. So
we're just not getting as much from them as we used to, probably in many cases. So back to the disco. So selenium is Brazil nuts, or in a multi. C is for calcium. Okay. So calcium's an interesting one, because people argue about it a bit, and you know, I can sort of see where people are coming from, but the recommended intake, as a dietitian, I kind of have to go with the science. I can't just go with my own sort of feelings or whatever. The recommended intake, which is based on science, right, of calcium, is virtually almost impossible to get on a vegan diet. Okay, without fortified foods or supplements. So when I analyse people's diets, generally there's around 400 milligrams of calcium in their diet if they're not having fortified foods. So it's a tricky one, because what happened was, it's been about 7,000 years that Europeans have been using the cow and for dairy products, and having milk and cheese and all that. So having quite a high calcium intake probably made us taller, whatever, you know. And of course, I was brought up, as you probably were, drinking milk non-stop, you know, at school and everything, with that horrible
I know.
Sit out in the sun, and you had to drink that. I had to try and tip mine out. And
it was terrible. The smell, I can still remember the smell in primary school.
I used to vomit quite often. Anyway, I won't go back there. And so we've been raised on, you know, a lot of calcium, and as a result, we're, you know, obviously very tall, Harry. And
I'm not going anywhere with that.
And so the taller you are, the more calcium you need to maintain your bones, right? So, and what has been found is people, let's say from China, when they move to the United States, there's been studies done on this, and have children, and if their children start eating dairy products, their children end up being 4 to 6 inches taller than their parents. Right? So, you know, there is some evidence there that having a lot of calcium, because we're doing it, bones are made largely of calcium, you know, it helps bone growth, right? Whether we need to do that, it's probably actually better to be shorter, because shorter bones are stronger. Okay. So if you've got a long, skinny leg bone, it's easier to snap with a stick than a shorter, fatter stick. Right?
See, I knew there was a reason why I've been vertically challenged.
So the tricky thing is, though, for people like me that were raised on a lot of calcium, probably my body is used to that, and I've got this long bones I need to look after. And the other thing is, if kids are vegan, kids are given a low calcium diet, they're probably going to be quite a bit shorter than their classmates, or not reach their genetic potential height, and end up quite a bit shorter than their parents, which people are going to point and go, look at those short vegan kids. So I because of those reasons, right?
Don't do that to anyone. It's not nice.
But you know what I'm saying? Because you want to promote veganism, but then it's also
but you don't want to end up my height,
I didn't say that.
No, I did.
So it's kind of a tricky one, but I do recommend people do try and get close to the recommended intake of calcium, which most adults is around 1,000 milligrams a day.
Right.
So
and,
to do
and most people are only getting 400.
Yeah. Right. So the easiest way to do that is just, you know, we have a society, Western diet, you have milk in it, just get a plant-based milk that's got added calcium.
Right.
Yeah, that's an easy switch, because then that's...
Would that get them up to 1,000 a day?
You can do easily.
Yeah, okay.
So then that's nutritionally similar, okay?
Right,
yeah.
yes.
You can also get tofu, which has been made with a calcium salt, 509 or 516. If you want to read the label, there's a few around, okay?
Okay, yeah.
See, I think when you think of an Asian diet, there's always probably been tofu set with calcium salts. A lot more Asian greens are a really good source of calcium, like choy.
There must have been, because Asian diet doesn't normally have dairy in it, does it?
No. But it probably does have a lower calcium overall, but they still have some good, rich calcium foods, and we'll tend to eat a big plate of bok choy or whatever, which is not really what we do. You know, people hear these vegetables as a bit of a garnish.
That's true, yes.
So, you know, the easiest way to get around that, I think, is the calcium fortified milks. Yep.
What about the fact that, I mean, we're talking about people who have been getting the calcium through dairy, but isn't that a very bad way to get calcium? Because the calcium actually, trying to get calcium through dairy, has the opposite effect, and it leaches from the bones?
Well, I know that's a bit of a vegan thing.
Yes. Are you going to shoot that one down, eh?
Well, I'm going to say there's a few little vegan myths around that, you know, people sort of amplify beyond all recognition of what the truth might have been. But I think that, yes, obviously there's a lot of negatives to getting calcium from dairy, apart from if you're a calf, but also, and for the environment, but also that, you know, you're getting the saturated fat, the cholesterol, you're getting a high protein intake. I mean, a cow's milk obviously is a perfect food for a little calf to grow very quickly, to be a big cow. And someone said yesterday, it wasn't my words, but, you know, that they said if you want to be a big fat cow, drink milk. Right. Anyway, so drink cow's milk, you know. But so of course you're right. There's negatives. I'm certainly not in any way saying there's anything good about dairy. No.
I was just curious about.
And look, if we hadn't ever had dairy, we'd probably actually maybe all be a bit shorter, but a bit stronger for it.
A bit stronger,
yes. Stronger, shorter bones, as I said, stronger. But for bones, there's really three really important things. There's a lot of things we need for healthy bones, but then it's not just calcium. Okay, so you can sit on the couch chugging your, you know, calcium supplements or your plant-based milk with calcium added. That's doing nothing for your bones. Okay, that would be like sitting on the couch chugging your protein powder, going, "Oh, where's my muscles?"
Oh, right, yes, of course, yes.
So the same as with muscles, to get strong bones, we actually have to put stress on them.
Right.
Okay. Which means weight-bearing exercise. Okay, which is the other thing we're all doing wrong. We're just not doing enough exercise. We're just really lazy, you know.
So what would you recommend as a good weight-bearing exercises?
Walking, running, dancing, skipping, jumping. So things where there's actually you're hitting the earth and causing vibrations up through the spine or whatever. So things like cycling and swimming aren't any good for the bones.
Guess what I do a lot of?
Those, both
of those.
So you need to go out dancing or something a few times a week, or just stomp around at home.
There you go. Anyone want to be my dance partner? I'll just put it out there now.
Okay. Skipping, whatever, you know, that sort of thing. So that we need that. And what I mentioned before, the D in disco, vitamin D. We need vitamin D to help us absorb calcium. So you can kind of see why we've got this problem with osteoporosis in Australia and other Western countries. It's probably nothing to do with lack of calcium. Okay, it's our lifestyle. It's lack of exercise and it's lack of sunshine.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Okay, so just
a couple of comments there. I've found a dance partner already. Danny says pick me. Oh, good on you, Danny. I'm Harry. It comes easy. Aliska says Pure Harvest rice milk has added calcium to 50% daily, needs a serve.
Okay, good.
That's great. Thank you for that, Aliska. And Mitchell says, Amanda, thank you for raising the level of conversation.
Oh.
How's that?
Well,
I think you found a dance partner.
Oh, that sounds good. Yep. So we nearly finished disco.
Okay, we're nearly finished this go. We're up to O.
Oh, the last one. Thank goodness for that, hey? We done then?
I hope so. We've only got 7 minutes left.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, time flies.
Omega-3s, okay. So, you know, you've probably heard all the hype about fish oil, fabulous thing, you know, and actually a lot of those studies have been disproven. You always have to look also at where studies have come from.
Oh, yeah.
Who's official people funding it.
And have you found that, just talking about that when you look at that most of the time it's a vested interest?
Often it is, and they are supposed to declare it, but sometimes they kind of sidestep that a little bit. But you always have to be very careful. Don't just believe something just because, even if it's in a scientific journal. Definitely don't believe it just because it's on the internet. But anyway, so the omega-3 one is a bit tricky. There's an omega-3 called ALA, which we can get from things like flax seeds and chia seeds and walnuts. Which is the actual essential omega-3. What used to be considered that was the only essential one, because our body can turn that into what it needs, which is DHA and EPA.
Right. Okay.
Now, what's been found, interestingly, is a lot of variation in how well people do that as individuals. Okay, and males, like so many other things, tend not to be as good at that.
Right. So you're saying males can't convert ALA?
In general, not as good converters.
Right, okay.
So you take in the ALA, but it's actually the DHA, so you're relying on your body to convert that to DHA.
Okay. Yep.
And DHA is important for the eyes, the heart, and the brain. So, you know, unless you don't need those three things, which I think you probably do.
I think they're reasonably important, yes.
Then, you know, you have to sort of think about that. So it's another area where we need a lot more research. Research is ongoing, but research on vegans has found they tend to have much lower levels of DHA in their blood. Right? Okay. And we don't know whether they have lower levels in their brain, and we don't really know exactly why the brain accumulates DHA. It seems to like DHA, what it's doing with it, who knows? But it seems to be important for brain development for children. Okay. So it's often recommended now that women that are, no matter what their diet, pregnant or breastfeeding, and for small children, that they are supplemented with DHA. Okay. So for most people, they think that means fish oil.
Right.
But fish don't make DHA. They get it from eating algae.
Of course, yes.
So you can cut out the middleman or the middle fish, so to speak, and get algal-derived DHA if you're concerned about that. It's one of those things like B12, I always tell people, that's absolutely a no-brainer. That's essential. DHA, have a think about it, read about it. You know, I can't really say you must do that or something terrible will happen. I can say I strongly recommend it if you're pregnant, lactating, or a small child. I do take it, but you know, it is something to consider, and hopefully we'll learn more about it as time goes by.
Does DHA show up in blood tests?
There is a blood test, but not anything you would normally get from your doctor, no.
Right.
Yeah, so you'd have to look. There is a couple of labs that do that now.
Okay, so it's something you'd have to get specifically done somewhere.
Yeah, you can look at your profile of omega-3s and omega-6s in your blood.
Okay.
And the other thing with the omega-3s is that we also need omega-6s, but we tend to, on a Western diet, even vegans get way too much of those. And that's from other high-fat foods. So, you know, from your sunflower seeds and, you know, other nuts and things like that, and soy products as well. And omega-6s suppress the conversion of ALA to DHA. So it's not just about having more ALA in your diet, it's also about maybe watching how much omega-6 you have in your diet and decreasing that. So it's all kind of complicated. I always assess people's intake of that when I see them and talk to them about that, just so as they're well informed, because you know, we don't know every single answer yet about nutrition, but I like to try and keep up to date with the research and keep people like as well informed as possible.
Would it be fair to say that, so obviously it has to be personalised, one thing doesn't fit all people, is that right? So because you know, what I was thinking of there was you know, I have friends that are that do really well as raw vegan, and when I went vegan, that's how when I was 16, that's how I started off. And then some people mightn't do well as raw vegan. Would that be correct?
Well, the thing is, there isn't one single raw vegan diet, is there? Just like there isn't one single vegan diet. You know, when people go, I were vegan once and they got sick, they looked pale, right? You know, it could have been they were on the donut diet, or it could have been they weren't supplementing with B12. Who knows? You know, and the same with the raw diet. You know, we need certain nutrients. We don't actually need certain foods.
Right.
You
We
know?
need certain nutrients. So that's really good. That's definitely the takeaway I get from
You like
tonight.
that?
We
Okay.
need certain nutrients. We don't necessarily need
I told you
certain...
to eat less takeaways, Harry.
That's the vegan. Funnily enough, it was in my head. But so if we're getting those nutrients from a raw vegan diet, or if we're getting it from a cooked vegan diet, as long as we're getting those nutrients, that's the important thing.
To avoid deficiencies, but you could have donuts that have got all those nutrients added in, right? But that might mean you might not get a deficiency, but that doesn't mean you're on a healthy diet. Okay, because we need a lot of other stuff that aren't considered essential nutrients, but all different phytochemicals and all different coloured vegetables, all that. We need the fibre to keep everything moving along and all that, you know. So, you know, with a healthy diet, we're looking at getting all the essential nutrients that we need. That's important because you cannot be healthy if you've got a deficiency. Eventually, you're going to sort of fall over and be unhealthy, right? But we also need to not get too much of the bad stuff like the saturated fat, that type of thing.
Okay. So Harry's got to eat out less often.
Oh, well, maybe. What we need is a chain of nice, healthy, vegan fast food. And you ate at my favourite, one of them tonight. Well, I don't know if that was exactly a healthy fast food place, but I did have a nice.
Oh, no, sorry, you said healthy fast food, yes. I was thinking, I actually dropped the words fast food, and I just thought healthy
I'm not sure about the corn chips, but, you know, it was a nice meal. So,
so that was at Greenhouse, and yes. Oh, we love Greenhouse.
I didn't know we were plugging people. I don't do that. I'm an independent dietitian.
I love Greenhouse.
Harry loves Greenhouse. I say nothing.
There you go. Now I've got you out of that one.
Thank you.
And, look, just at the last minute, Kamina's joined us.
Oh.
Amazing. Now, it has been...
Just checking I'm still alive.
It has been super informative, and I'm sure now that we've started getting really into the nitty-gritty, we could go on forever. Because I know you
Let's
can,
not.
because I know you can talk underwater. But I have gained a lot from it tonight, and I hope you guys watching have gained a lot from tonight's information that Amanda has given us. So thank you very much for making the arduous journey all the way from Brisbane.
My hands and knees, yes.
Or Brisbane Vegas.
B12 disco, and you'll be right.
Yes. Now, if people want to get in touch with you and find out, are you doing, at this stage, are you offering individual consultations?
I do.
Yes.
Yes.
So what's the best way?
At Spring Hill.
Okay.
And I do Skype and phone consultations.
Fantastic. Should they contact you through the link that's on this live stream?
The Human Herbivore?
Through the website.
Yeah, not through Facebook.
Okay. I will put the website up when we finish this live stream.
And the website's got all the information about costs and times, and they can book themselves into the website.
Okay, so that's that's the Human Herbivore website.
Humanherbivore.com.
And Kamina says she's been here for most of it. Okay, good
she's
Kamina.
okay, right.
So, and guys, if you've got any questions that come up after this live stream's finished, you can still type them in, and Amanda will get a notification, and hopefully she'll notice it, and and hopefully she'll answer it.
What is it when things go up? What's
that's people liking you.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I should have told you that before we went live. Yeah, that's little loves, hearts, and little thumbs up and all that.
That's sweet.
So I'm going to start winding up now and say thank you again very much for coming down. It's been very interesting. Now, this episode, will, as always, will be on YouTube within 2 days.
Okay.
So,
I won't be looking at that.
and look how many thumbs ups we're going in.
Good thumbs up to you guys too, wherever you are. Good on you.
See, people are one of it. Okay. I want to thank everyone that's joined in, and you can ask questions afterwards if you've missed out. I will be back, or the Vegan Hour will be back in 2 weeks' time on Tuesday, June the 12th. For episode 13 with Natalie from Cranky's Farm Animal Rescue Mission.
Nice.
So and we'll find out how you can help the animals that way. So thanks very much, guys, for joining in. This has been episode 12 of the Vegan Hour. Thanks again, Amanda. Remember to live vegan and save lives.
I can do it too.
You can do it too. Hang on, I can do it too. There we go. Somebody take a photo of that, please. And I'll see you soon. Good night, everyone.
Good night.